Alright guys, this one is super late, so allow me to explain before we go on. I got the Rona for several days. Last week I had a really bad fever and I have to basically take a rest for several days, quarantine in my room, and thus I cannot do my recap as usual. Not especially when my throat is getting on my nerves and I cough all the time. Unfortunately, it's not just the Rona that I have to deal with, I also have to deal with brand new work schedules that would make me incredibly busy for the week, so it's really difficult for me to make content within that time span. The best time for me to make content is around the weekends because at least around the weekends, my schedules are a lot more flexible. So from this point on, the recap schedule will be about a day before the actual stream starts, which I think is a more appropriate time to upload because it is also a good way for me to build up the upcoming stream a day later, rather than having nothing to build the stream up. I also do want to fill this channel out with some stream clips just to fill up the void a little bit. The recaps will still happen at the weekends. It's just that you will see the stream clips first before the actual recap. I just need to maintain a schedule that won't make me go nuts, and I have to fill a void that is this channel. And since I primarily do streams these days, I'll fill the channel up with some stream clips. So thank you all for watching and sticking by me this whole time. Now, let's get to the actual hooplas. This hoopla is quite the big elephant in the room last week, so we'll tackle this one first. Indonesia blocks Yahoo, PayPal, and a bunch of gaming websites, including Steam, over license breaches. So yeah, they're blocking all of these websites because they're not compliant to rules and regulations that we have. And because they don't comply to those rules, a lot of people cannot access their favorite games, they can't access their payment website, and they can't use Yahoo. Not as tragic as the other two, but still sucks. The thing is, when I heard about the news, I thought everyone was faking it. I tried accessing the websites that were mentioned prior, and I managed to access those websites just fine without VPN. So how can I access those websites just fine even without VPN while others cannot? Well, it turns out that the Indonesian government is blocking the websites through an overly simplistic manner. All they did is just change the address on the DNS. Think of DNS as the internet's contact books. When you access something like google.com, you're not actually accessing Google, you're accessing the IP address of Google. But it's really hard to remember Google's IP address in the same way it's hard to remember other people's phone numbers. You don't need to remember their numbers when you can have their contact names in your phone book. That's the point of a DNS. It's a contact book for the whole internet when you just need to type in the URL, which is easier to remember than the full IP address. By default, most people are going to be using the DNS that's provided by the ISP, but you can use custom DNS like Google DNS or Cloudflare DNS. There are many places where you can apply DNS. You can apply DNS on your devices individually, such as your smartphone or your PCs, or you can apply DNS in your router. You can look up the tutorials on how to change the DNS for specific devices online. There are loads and loads of websites that'll teach you how to do it. It should only take you about 10 minutes at most. So the reason why I can access those websites normally while others cannot is because I applied Google's DNS on my router. So all of the websites that are blocked by the Indonesian government are pretty much accessible to me. And this is before I apply VPN, which will breach even more blockades than the government has. So to put it simply, not only that the government is banning websites for arbitrary reasons again, they're really bad at doing it. One more hilarious thing. Last stream, I got loads and loads of super chats. All of the super chats go to PayPal. PayPal is one of those websites that were blocked by the Indonesian government, but I was able to access PayPal just by changing the DNS. Not only I was able to access PayPal, I got the super chats money just fine within the schedule. It's as if PayPal operated like nothing happened. It could probably be because PayPal was already registered, but at the time, it wasn't. So to everyone who is panicking over this, I can totally understand why, but don't you worry, there are solutions. Just bypass the block by changing the DNS, but don't use a VPN because using a VPN will put you in an entirely different area than Indonesia, and PayPal doesn't like that. So just bypass through DNS. That is unless you're trying to access websites that were blocked really hard by the Indonesian government, like 18+ websites, in which case, use a VPN all you like. Hopefully this ban is temporary, but the Indonesian government tends to surprise at times, like the time where they make a whole PSA about how VPNs are awful and terrible, and you shouldn't use it because doing so will lead you to websites that will give you all sorts of virus, which is true if you're an idiot, and that's what the government is telling you all, that you're all idiots. CBR is at it again with a list of really dumb takes. 10 TV shows with a terrible message. What they define as terrible message here, some of them are understandable, some of them are so egregiously bad that we're gonna have to discuss them. Or at least the ones that I've watched, and I've only watched 2 out of all of these TV shows. Breaking Bad won't solve your problems. Well, duh. Like, it's pretty freaking apparent if you just watch the show that cooking and selling meth aren't exactly the easiest things to do. In fact, it ends pretty badly for almost everyone involved. No one in Breaking Bad has a really good ending. A lot of them are either bittersweet or just bitter in general. The message is that if people are in need, they should forgo the law. That was the premise of the show. The show deconstructs that premise and shows why it's a really bad idea. You clearly haven't seen the show. The worst part of the show is how Walt's crimes evolve from cooking meth to running a large operation in which he, or his alter ego Heisenberg, is renowned for his meth cooking. Well, duh? That's the point? The point is that it's bad for him to do so? Unfortunately, Walt is portrayed as a cool character, despite his choices. Wrong. Just because he's a badass sometimes doesn't mean he's a cool character overall. The takeaway shouldn't be that crimes and murders solve people's problems. Wait. That wasn't what the show is trying to say. Again, you clearly haven't seen the show. Incapable Michael is glorified in The Office. Not really. If you watch any clips of Michael from The Office, you can clearly tell that he's not a good manager. He earned the managerial position because he just so happened to be a really good salesman. And apparently a good salesman translates to good manager. And those are the 2 shows that I watch. Well, semi-watch. I watched the entirety of Breaking Bad. It's amazing. Go watch it if you haven't. I only see clips of The Office on YouTube. Somehow, I think seeing the clips on YouTube is a much better way to watch The Office rather than watching the actual show. One of my contenders for Game of the Year alongside Elden Ring is a game called Stray, where you play as a stray cat. Why? Because the game is a meow button. 10 out of 10 IGN Game of the Year. But hey, let's talk about why this game is problematic, because apparently it is. Stray falls into the usual Orientalism pitfalls of the cyberpunk genre. In other words, game has too much Asian stereotypes, therefore game is problematic. The first point in why the game is problematic is in the subtitle. The cat simulation game appropriates Asian aesthetics, but it doesn't grapple with the walled city's historical legacy. So, a fictional sci-fi video game about fictional cats isn't historically authentic or accurate to the real world. And it has to be accurate. Why? Moving on from that stupid point, let's focus on the one thing that the writer is really bothered by. It's the fact that the game has characters wearing rice patty hats. And rice patty hats are offensive. The writer complains that the robots in the game wear rice patty hats to mark the fact that it's an Asian thing. Okay? And while the existence of farmer hats is not offensive by itself, it becomes astoundingly racist when used in unrelated imagery. Writer, people sell farmer hats almost everywhere in Asia. Even in cities they sell them. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's cultural appreciation, not appropriation. Oh, and another thing, have you worn a rice paddy hat? Have you ever been to a rice field? Have you ever worn a rice paddy hat into a rice field? I have. And I can do that all the time. They're literally outside my home. You have no cred. Shut the hell up. The writer talks about being alienated by the game because the game is a cyberpunk story, and that cyberpunk stories originates from America's anxieties about Japan's economic dominance. Gee, it's almost as if Japan produces all sorts of cool things or something. The writer then said that the game developers had the responsibility to grapple with its history. No, they don't. No, they don't. Go buy Stray. Stray is great. Square Enix will never ever get away from my crosshairs when they keep on doing stupid stuff. And this is among some of the dumbest things that they have ever done in a while. So they recently opened up a manga app where you can download it to read mangas. It sounds nice, right? Well, the problem is the manga is riddled with nothing but censorship. It's the kind of censorship that just baffles the mind. Like, seriously, why would you censor her never regions like that? Doesn't that actually make it more suggestive? This is the Indonesian censorship all over again. Seriously, look up the Indonesian cartoon censorship. The stuff that comes out of that has to be seen to be believed. Not only that, but there are also microtransactions in the Manga app because clearly the one thing that we need the most in our Manga app is freaking microtransactions. The team responded to all the criticisms, but not in a good way. They said that a lot of the changes are made to comply to the mobile platform's policies and that some modifications were unavoidable to release the app to the whole world. So everyone gets to suffer the Indonesian style of censorship. And I particularly love the third line. In the meanwhile, some of the content is available uncensored through other official streams, so please continue supporting the artist. In other words, our app sucks. Go buy them somewhere else. At this point, you guys might as well just download Tachiyomi. Tachiyomi is infinitely better, guys. Just download it. Seriously. And that is all for the recap today. Once again, apologies for the lateness of this recap. I found out that my schedule isn't as flexible as I hope it would be, which means that I can only make the recaps in the weekends. But the recaps will still go on, and it'll be one day before the stream. So stay tuned in the upcoming stream tomorrow at the stream channel, link down below. Go subscribe. Speaking of which, huge thanks to all the supporters of this channel. If you want to see your name there, just $1 is all I need. You can donate to whatever you like. Links down below. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.